Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about what is called the intermediate value theorem, which we often shorten to IVT. This is what we call an existence theorem, in that it guarantees that something exists, but it doesn't actually find what we're looking for. But sometimes it's actually nice to know that something does exist before we actually start all the work that is needed to find it. So otherwise you'd be wasting your time going through all that work to then figure out, oh, well, it doesn't exist. So, you know, these theorems are helpful in that respect. But intermediate value theorem also is based on continuity, which is why we're talking about it now. And it basically says, given a function f of x that is continuous, on the interval, and so if you look at our graph here, our interval is from A to B. So on the interval, and it's a closed interval. That's what they mean by the brackets here. If D is between, and notice that D in our graph is between f of A and f of B, then there exists a C between A and B such that f of C would equal D. Okay, now, I know that that might be a little confusing, but all it is actually saying is if a function is continuous, which remember that means that there's no break, there's no hole, then if your x values are A to B, it would make sense that your y values, like your function would hit every height or y value from f of A to f of B, okay, because you're not skipping any values. Here's a real-life example that might help you make sense of this. Let's say that at 2 years of age, your height was 2 feet. At 5 years of age, your height was 4 feet. Then, if well, does it make sense? Hopefully it makes sense that at some age between 2 and 5, your height was 3 feet. Okay, let's just repeat that again. If when you were 2 years old, your height was 2 feet, and then when you were 5 years old, your height was 4 feet, hopefully it makes sense that at some age, at some point in time, between 2 years old and 5 years old, your height had to be 3 feet. Okay, that's all we're saying. Because as you're growing, that would be represented by a continuous function. Like there's no way possible that you could skip a height. You could go from, you know, 2 feet to 4 feet without having been 3 feet tall. Okay, that is all intermediate value theorem is saying. Okay, if the function is continuous from x equals A to x equals B, then the function is going to reach all of the heights between f of A and f of B. Okay, now let's look at a more concrete example. So these type questions are going to be like, show that, prove that. Okay, so here we want to show that f of x has a 0 in the interval -2 to 1. and this is a closed interval. So remember, a 0 is an x-intercept. So we want to show or prove that this graph crosses the x-axis somewhere between x equals -2 and x equals 1. Okay, now, one important thing when you're writing your answer is, because intermediate value theorem is based on the function being continuous, you always want to start by stating that the function is continuous, okay? Now, f of x is a polynomial. It's a quadratic polynomial. The graph is a parabola. That is a continuous function. So you can just start by saying that f of x is continuous because it is a polynomial function. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, because we're given, like, this would be a and b, so the next thing we need to do is find f of a. So f of -2 would be -2 squared minus 2 times -2 minus 3, which will end up being 4 plus 4, which is 8, minus 3 is 5. And then we want to find f of b. B is 1. We're going to find f of 1. So we'll have 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 3. And we'll end up with 1 minus 2, which is -1, minus 3 is -4. Now notice we got a negative y value and a positive y value. So hopefully it makes sense to you that if the function is continuous, then x has to equal 0 for some value between -2 and 1. Because if our y values go from negative to positive, then the graph has to cross the x-axis. Okay? So we could just wrap this up by saying, and we've shown our work, so we're going to say now that IVT guarantees that f of x has a 0 between x equals -2 and x equals 1. Okay, but you have to show your y. You have to show your y values. So with all of this together, we basically have shown or proven that f of x has to cross the x-axis at least once within that interval. Okay, so this is how you want to write out your answer. Always start with continuity. Justify that the function is continuous, find your y values, and then wrap it up by saying, based on the y values and the fact that the function is continuous, IVT guarantees that this function has a 0. All right, you guys, that's it for this video. Again, we'll practice some more with continuity and IVT tomorrow in class. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.